Thank you for coming. I appreciate you. You could always turn the tables if you'd like to give the shir. Yeah. Perek Chav Ches. It's a short perek. A few important ideas. Va'afilu, says the Alter Rebbe. Perek Chav Ches. So we're talking about, the Alter Rebbe is telling us not to fall into depression for when negative thoughts come into our minds. So the Alter Rebbe says, "Va'afilu im neiflim loy hirhure taivis u'shar machshava zaris b'shaso aveda." Even if a person is, befallen, I don't know what the right word is. Taivis u'shar machshava zaris, while he's learning Torah, or oibit tefillah b'kavana, says the Alter Rebbe, al yoshis leiv alehem. In contemporary language, we would say, don't give them any energy. Ella yasiach daite mehen kerega, distract yourself immediately. So I just want to mention a nuance. First of all, earlier, when the Alter Rebbe spoke about foreign thoughts, he didn't use the language machshava zaras. This is like a first. Before, he said hirhure taivis. Hirhurim royim v'taivis rois. That was the language that he used. Here he uses machshava zaras, but that's the more popular. So what's pointed out is that because when you're in the middle of davening, all machshavas are foreign. It doesn't have to be about aveira. You're trying to daven, and then you're thinking about your business.
Yeah.
Thinking about your business is a holy thing.
Even thinking about learning is machshava zaras.
Yeah, like I said before, I was once in the office in Alei Torah in Mesivta when I was working there, and I was talking with another staff member about, an investment or whatever it was, and Rapinya Korf came in and we got quiet. So he said, "You don't have to get quiet. Money is a good thing. Geld is a good zach. So you have to make money." But here, because he's davening and learning, so the Alter Rebbe uses this more famous, I would say colloquially, this is what we use, machshava zaras. Yeah, so don't give it any energy. Just distract yourself. So really, what's happening here at the Alter Rebbe, there's two things. One is, remember that the background is, don't allow yourself to get depressed. But this perek is like a very pragmatic perek. The Alter Rebbe is going to give us strategies, like what's the right approach, what to do here. Let me tell you what to do. So he says, don't give it any energy. Distract yourself right away. Then he says, v'gam, al yehi shoite, don't be silly. Lasek. Lasik, you remember this one. Lasik, b'halas hamidus shel machshava zara, to get involved in elevating the machshava zara. Kenoida, that there's such a thing brought from the Baal Shem Tov and the Talmidim of the Baal Shem Tov, to find the source in which midah, and then to combat it. It says, Kilei nemru dvarim hahem ela letzadikim. That path of elevating machshava zaras, halas hamidus, is only said about tzaddikim. She'ein neiflim lahem machshava zaras shelahem. Their machshava zaras aren't their own. Ki'im mishel acherim. It's from others. And here too, this is, laden with different nekudas. One is, there's a whole discussion in Chassidus about what are Hashem's midas like. Because a midah is a reaction. And Hashem doesn't react, he's not nispol. Hashem is beyond being nispol. So Hashem's midas are like gzeiros. It's like an agreement that he responds, but it's not like an emotional reaction. So here, the tzaddik, when we say that ein neiflim lahem mishelahem, by an ordinary person, they're attached to their thoughts. their emotion, even though it's a thought, but there's also they're attracted.
Yeah.
They're,
Most people.
Yeah. Here, the tzaddik, it's like observing a foreign thing.
Yeah.
There's no, it has no meaning to them. It has no significance. It's like someone who has just no interest in something. It's like, for some people when they see spinach, something like that. So that's, but yeah. And the idea is that why would a machshava zara from someone else occur to them? And that's because they have talmidim and they're connected to the talmidim, and sometimes to elevate a certain energy that tzaddikim get called upon. A person whose machshava zara is there are their thoughts. From their own Yetzer Hara, from their own how could he elevate it? If he's attached to below. In order to elevate something, you have to stand above it. Another nakuda here is that, don't worry, no need to tiptoe. Another nakuda here is that, we have this idea. For some reason, I have this recollection. It is for here. I don't have anything for a tip today. I'm out. Thank you, boss. We have this idea of, I remember for some reason the Mamorim that the Rebbe was Magia, like Nun Aleph, Nun Beis, we had this theme of Efshi and EFshi. You know what I'm talking? This idea, like, should a person say, "Oh, I would love to eat chazer, but what could I do? Avinu Shebashamayim Gozer Alai. What could I do? Avi Shebashamayim. Hashem said no. So what's the right path? Should you say, if not for the prohibition, I would enjoy it, I want it, or you should say EFshi. So when a person who has a weakness, a person who's attracted to an aveira, should never say efshi, because it's too dangerous.
Right.
Don't think that I'm already beyond it.
I have that food, but I can't.
It's because, in other words, you have to create as much distance as possible between you and this
It's
thing.
just something I don't do.
So here, when it comes to the machshava zara, by you getting engaged with it, you're like, I'm going to elevate it. It's too risky. It could hurt you. It could bring you down. So therefore, to stay away.
You shouldn't start thinking, why is this coming to me?
That's another thing. That's a whole other Indian. I want to just mention that later. To think that you shouldn't, what Fitch is bringing out is
that's for sure.
Not right. Just push it away. Not to say, wait, why did Hashem send it to me?
That's
What was the
different than
tachlis? It's a nachazach.
Tzaddikim wanna.
Why is this coming to me?
That's a nachazach. It's a nachazach.
I don't have to blame Hashem.
All of these
I blame
things.
Hashem for everything. Don't worry.
All of these things are part of the discussion around this Perek Tanya.
But over here, obviously, when it's the Bishas Aveda, then you have to just
There's a lashon in
you have to
Chassidus
focus on where you are.
that the ribui hamachshava zara is during davening. In other words, let's say you have a person, he can never focus. Has nothing to do with davening. He's an ADD guy. He's always bouncing around, right? So okay, but you have someone like this. He could learn. He could focus. Suddenly, when it comes to davening, his mind wanders like it's out of style.
Yeah.
Right? So it's brought in Chassidus. That's a einish for the ribui dvarim b'teilim. In some places it says that when people have, it's because of the Dvarim B'Telim before davening. Like if you wake up in the morning and you keep yourself pure.
And it's not a English, it's just a consequence. It's like
Yeah,
it's
okay.
like
So he's
the
saying
Taylor
no.
thing.
He's saying it's not a consequence. Meaning that's not your makeup is that you could be focused. Suddenly, when it comes to davening, you find yourself more scattered than anywhere else. So it brings it's da Indian. When we started, I told Aaron it's a short parak. Today, if we learn, we get out early.
Get our what?
We get out early. It's a short parak.
We're going to read the program.
Yeah.
There's so many programs in front.
This is also a program.
That's why I'm
Thank you.
here. Not also program.
Da Parecha.
This is the place to be.
Before, listen, noch a Woche, schon sein Chasanas, huh?
And you see another.
Oh, Mitzvah Hashem. Oh, yeah?
You're releasing an album at 9 p.m. tonight?
Beautiful.
Say
Leave it
that's
that
why
way.
I'm here. I need to ground myself.
Ach,
Where do I get it?
Afal Pikain, still. Don't worry. Afal Pikain, still. Al Yipe Libe Bekirbe. Don't fall emotionally, don't allow yourself to be disappointed.
Distraught.
Yeah. Lies mize otzev nivze b'shas ha'aveda. Don't be sad or depressed. Don't feel nivze. Don't feel lowly while you're serving Hashem. When you serve Hashem, shetzarich lias b'simcha rabba, you have to serve Hashem with great joy. Like we say in davening on Shabbos, who could praise Hashem? There's not enough ink. There's not enough. But therefore, Eivarim shepelakta banu, Hashem, the eyes that you created, the tongue that you created, hein yoidu vivarchu vishabchu. So with great simcha we praise Hashem. Says Ela Adarabba. When a person is confronted by machshava zoros during this davening, I mentioned right when we started the parak that the Alter Rebbe, there's two things that are happening here. One is don't be upset. The second is here is how you should deal with it. In other words, it's two separate things. There's a response. The Alter Rebbe, the main focus of the parak is the response on what you should do. There's a whole discussion about the word, the first word of the parak, va'afilu. Right? What's the afilu trying to say? Some try to say that the va'afilu is that if you have machshava zoros during davening, you should be even more beaten down. Because I'm trying to daven. What are you doing? If I have machshava zoros when I'm at work, okay. But I'm trying to serve Hashem. Now you're not right? So there's like an extra disappointment. So some people say, afilu, that's the Alter Rebbe saying. And even if it's the middle of davening, al yoshes lev alein. But it doesn't, from the Alter Rebbe, the weight of the parak is much more on practically what we should do. The Alter Rebbe doesn't give such, the Alter Rebbe doesn't say in the parak, still don't be upset. He just says, don't, what should you do? Dive in more, daven more. Why? Because the fact that you have machshava zoros, this itself tells us that you're davening. In other words, why is the nefesh habam is awake now? Because you're trying to daven. Adarabba, yischazach yosef, strengthen yourself more. The Yosef oimetz, right? Intensify. Bechol koiche. The kavanas hatfila, right? Bechedva v'simcha yesera, with greater joy, greater expression of joy. Besumei aliba, here, think about this, says the Alter Rebbe. Ki nefilas hamachshava zara, hi me'aklipa shebachalo asmali. Where is this machshava zara coming from? From klipa. It's waging a war. There's a right? There's a battle. There's a battleground. V'noida derech hamilchomim v'chein hanevokim yachad. It is known when people fight or people wrestle. Right? This is something that it's very beneficial to be in school to see this. Because once in a while you see kids fighting and you watch the way they cross the line. And suddenly you see it in their eyes. Little kids, it says, K'she'echad mizgaber. When one person overpowers the other person. Azai hasheni misametz lehizgaber gamkein bechol ma'amatze koiche. The second person intensifies, they reach into themselves for the deepest part of their, to their core. They gotta win. They can't. It's at ungerit nitzachen. It touched midas hanetzach. V'lochein. There's a lot of nuance here. Kishenefesh ha'elikis misametzes o misgaberes lihispalo. When the nefesh elikis it commits itself, it puts in effort. So what happens? Azai gama klipa misgaberes kenegdo. So notice that the Alter Rebbe did not say that the klipa is misametzes. He only said misgaberes. So some say that this is connected to what the Alter Rebbe explained in Perek Tes, that we have to remember that the Nefesh Habam is, in its essence, wants you to win. So he's not going to say, the Nefesh Elikis is from its deepest core, it's fighting to daven, that's its truth. The Nefesh Habam is pushing. But you can't say the Nefesh Habam is from its deepest core, because at the deepest...
He doesn't become it. The whole Nefesh is to weigh you down.
So...
It doesn't...
Behind everything is
Leval below. To disturb it, to confuse. Will hapila the machshava zara shalom. To throw in machshava zara. Here comes the famous... There was a lot to talk about. All right. Don't make the same mistake that others make. Shetoyim lehoichiach. They want to bring proof in the filas hamachshava zara. The fact that mitamol, in the middle of davening, you had a machshava zara. Miklal, this proves she'ain filasam klum, that your davening is worthless. She'ilu hispalo karoi v'nochin. If you were davening properly, where would you be have machshava zaras? And the Alter Rebbe explains. We have to read a little more than they would have an argument if we had one nefesh. Hiya mispaleles, v'hiya machshavas u'mahareres u'machshava zaras. If you had one nefesh that was splintered, so then it's true so then there's something wrong. Your davening is not right. It's insincere. You're not wholly there. It's like you're thinking about something only partially. Half of your brain is somewhere else. Avol be'emes la'amite, but the truth is that in shtei nefashos. Hanilchanu zuyim zu b'meichei shel adam, and kol achas chefzo retzoino limshel bei. What are they fighting over? They're fighting over your brain. V'liyas hameach mimula mimena levada. Each one wants exclusive rights to the brain. Chol irurei teirav yerushamayim min nefesh v'alikis. So you're davening. In other words, if I had one will, I can't want two opposites. But that's not how it works. I have two wills. The Nefesh Elikis has a will. The Nefesh Habamis has a will. But there's also another inyan here. So I remember as a when I was in yeshiva, when we were learning this, someone showed me from the Rebbe, it could be even in Shiurim Sefer Tanya, I don't remember where this idea that the Rebbe writes that, and sometimes I repeat something, and then when I go back and I look at it, that's not the way, whatever, right? The Rebbe writes that what Alter Rebbe is saying here is only in the beginning. In other words, if you're already in a hisbeinus, and then your mind wanders, then it's taka proof that it's not. In other words, you can't be in it and not in it.
Because there's only one being. There's only
When
one.
when you're getting in, you have to. Okay, so I remember such a thing. On the other hand, there's a whole other Torah here, which is a contradiction to this. So I'm just gonna put it out there. So I didn't see this Indian from the Rebbe in a long time. I remember it's a footnote somewhere. And I didn't see, he doesn't bring it. So I was looking around. So the thing is like this. The Alter Rebbe's lashon is Kol mila de alma minefesh abamis rak shohalikis milubeshes ba. Rak shohalikis milubeshes ba means what the Alter Rebbe is saying is that your nefesh alikis, you don't experience it directly. You have to draw it into you. Because you're drawing it into you, that's why even when you're in the depth, it's really like you're wearing a glove. You're not.
There's a toll booth.
It's not you. It's an accessory. So there's right.
Very sad.
So that's why the nefesh habamis could still right. And what happens when a person is misamet, when a person strengthens, they're maila de machshava zora, not haloa samidus. In other words, they intensify their davening.
That means the nefesh habamis is now becoming intensive. It means that the only tool that intensifies your is the nefesh habamis. Who's the one that has this?
That creates the okay.
It's the same nefesh habamis. So now the nefesh habamis, sometimes it gets excited, and you can get excited for something else. But if you're in the middle, and that's just enough. But by the way, everybody today is like ADD compared to this generation.
Yeah, there's another discussion. Why is it these Torahs of the Baal Shem Tov that speak about Allah's Hamidus, they don't say, "Oh, this is only for tzaddikim." It's just written outright. There's Torahs of the Magid, and there's just things out there. So, so it's like a whole exercise in a whole research project to prove that the different Torahs that from the Magid and the Baal Shem Tov are really written for people. Most of them are written for holy people, for on a higher level, and he brings from different Sfarim. Here because this is Sefer Shalbeinin, and so the Alter Rebbe took a different path. But the other Sfarim, even when they don't say it, they're speaking to people who their whole life is serving Hashem. It's a different, for many of the things that are said. That's from the Nefesh Elikis.
Everything Elikis.
Kol mila de alma menefesh habamis. Yeah, but the Nefesh Elikis is melubeshes ba. When you're thinking in Yoni de alma, the Nefesh habamis becomes the Nefesh Elikis becomes drawn.
Even when I'm thinking Nefesh Elikis, even when I'm experiencing Eliki, I thought that's what you're saying.
Yeah, because in the moyach, it's a hislapshus in the moyach.
How after that you say Shalom Aleichem, how's your Leipzig?
Yes, but that's another, right? In other words, we don't have to state the obvious that if the Alter Rebbe said right in the beginning, I didn't mention this, he said, Tefillah b'kavon. Right? Tefillah b'kavon. If a person is just saying the words, then this is all not negeya.
He's not even aware.
He's not. In other words, I used to tell my kids in school, we would talk about Shabbos Mavorchim, I would say around the world in 90 minutes. Mm-hmm. Right? Because no one's thinking the meaning of the words in Tillim. They're hard words.
In translation, even you understand English words, you don't understand the meaning.
Right. You don't understand the meaning. So So what happened? You just wander. It's like you have to cope with the fact that you have to sit now for 90 minutes and say Tillim.
And brain always working so like hard.
Yeah, so here, Tefillah B'Kavana, a person is trying to be mizbeinin and to focus.
But I heard someone done it very nicely, and later he found out he forgot to put film.
Okay, that's enough hazard. Yeah, okay. That's like the story of the soldier. He woke up, Shabbos morning he put on film. He woke up early, the chulu. Someone recently told a story. He saw someone at a train station wearing tefillin with Shabbos. It's a crazy story. I don't know. Every moment there are stories, right? Every moment. V'hu kemoshel. This moshel that the Alter Rebbe brings here, he also brings in Igeres HaKodesh. But there he gives a whole different, his response is different. Let's see, he says, Kemoshel Odom HaMispal V'Kavana. Right, a person davening. V'eimid lenegdoi Orel Rosha. What's the Lashon in Tanya? He has a different Lashon here. Yeah, V'eimid lenegdoi Orel Rosha u'Masiach u'Medaber imeh. So a person is davening, and a goy is standing. He's not letting him daven. He's talking to him. Kedei levalvolei. The intention of the goy is to disturb you. So here the Alter Rebbe just speaks about a strategy. The Alter Rebbe is speaking about a strategy. How do you deal with someone who's trying? You don't engage. Are you kidding? You're going to engage someone that's trying to disturb you? It says, you have to be clear. Don't get into it. And here what the Alter Rebbe is doing, it's a whole other discussion. Many times, especially by young kids, when they start davening, they start having questions, like existential questions. How do I know there's an Eibishter? Right? In other words, how do I know if what's right and wrong? Right? I don't know. I believe in Mashiach, Mehira Tatzmiach. So the rest of the day, they're not bothered about these questions.
Yeah, right.
Right? Suddenly in Shemoneh Esrei, the Alter Rebbe is saying, you're convincing yourself that the existential question is really bothering you. You're like, wait a second, how could I daven? I have to stop everything. And at first, I have to know that I believe in the Eibishter. And then you stop davening, and then there's no machshavas oros anymore. And then you say, oh, yeah, I believe. It's all a technique. There's only one intention. The intention is leval v'loy. That's all. Don't get involved. It's a big nisoyan. It's very hard to tell someone, right? No, look, if you have questions about the Eibishter, come talk to me Thursday night. We'll talk for a few hours, This is not, don't convince yourself, right? Rezach Nishtain, that it's actually now, suddenly I had a machshava zora, right? So that's what Alter Rebbe is saying. When the guys came, when we started, I said it's a short perek. We're going to start. We're going to get out early. So
Oh my God!
I'm warning you. Yeah. So he says, you understand that it's.
But by Shulchan Aruch, you have to finish your thought. You think about this very philosophical question, Akira, but question about mortgage and whatever. So by Shulchan Aruch, you have to finish thought and continue davening. Correct?
Why?
I don't know. It says like this. In Shemoneh Esrei, you continue and continue to approach opposite. If goy wants to jump on your goal, you have to run as fast as possible.
But not if they're in the wagon. The story.
Yeah. So you run away. But I believe by, let's say, classical literature approach to finish thought.
You have to solve it. You have to solve the.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he says, "Shalei lahashiv le'mitay v'adrad." Don't engage. V'laseis atzmai kecheresh lo yishma.
That's it. I love this.
Yeah.
It's really the only way.
Complete. You're talking to a bully. Like there's a bully that's trying to engage you. What you're going to talk to him?
That's the only thing that works with bullies.
That's that's what the Gemara.
Then you're doing the dance. They want you to dance with them. They want you to
No,
engage.
I was listening. I was listening to a shir. There's a guy in the mirror, very famous, Asher Areli, whatever. So there's in Psachim in the beginning. There's a Gemara that's a Haggadah about speaking nicely. Yeah, lashon ktsara. You should teach b'lashon ktsara, lashon nekiya, whatever. Anyway, the Gemara says that there was a student. He came in the morning to Rav. He said, I learned such a heavy sugya. I'm like a tired goat. Face, whatever. So the Gemara says, Lo yishtoi Rav. Rav didn't talk to him. So he says it like a Yiddishism. He says, S'nishtamid vemen zoreden. Right? There's an expression. There's no one to talk to. In other words, the guy is lacking intelligence. What am I going to waste my time? There's no one to talk to. Right? There's no one to talk to. It's moot. It's not. Cheresh layishma. I'm here to daven. Ulakayim asher koso fulfill the pasuk al ta'an ksil ki valtei pen tishvelei gam ato. Don't answer a fool. You're equating yourself. You're bringing yourself down to the same level.
Like lawyers say, don't engage in this.
Yeah, don't answer b'chlal. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a very important lesson.
Yeah, this is a very important chapter.
It's yeah. I remember I was telling someone, I said, if you argue with someone, what are you doing? You're helping him sharpen his blade. Right? He
At the same time, you're lowering yourself.
So why would you do that?
You're unsharpening.
Right? Why would you help him? You're helping him.
You engage in such nonsense.
Yes. So Alter Rebbe says, Kach, al yoshiv me'uma, v'shum taino meine, neged ha'machshava zara, don't answer. Ki ha'mis'abek im novel, a person who wrestles with someone who's dirty, misnavel gamke. Even if you're going to win, you get dirty. Rak yasa atzmai, you have to make as if. He didn't hear anything. You have to completely banish it from your mind. Right? You have to. The feeling that you get from the Alter Rebbe is, to me, it's very it's very real that the Alter Rebbe is talking about existential issues. The Alter Rebbe is talking about philosophical questions about faith. Punkte mitten davenen, I don't know if I believe in the Eibishter. He's like, come on.
You never
Like,
thought of it before.
you're here davening, like, V'yosef eimitz b'keach kavanose. Now, in Igeres HaKodesh, when the Alter Rebbe brings this mashal about a goy standing and distracting you, the Alter Rebbe says that you have to think about, why did the Eibishter place this person in my path? Right? I have to be over here. The Alter Rebbe doesn't discuss that. He said before that you can't elevate, right? Don't think about purpose. You have to just close the door. You just stay focused. And v'yosef emetz b'keach kavanose. V'im yikshel, it's a tough thing. V'im yikshel la'asira midaite. And if it's difficult, it's hard to push it away. He has certain things that are really, really bothering him. He has machshavas that are.
It could be machshavas in business, things that are taking his mind.
A daf decken in bank.
Yeah, and he has.
It's not 9 o'clock in the morning yet, but doesn't.
It was Rebbe who said it's Makshava Zor. He said, no, it's not Zor, it's yours Makshava.
No, like sometimes it's just, you have to.
I heard that the first time from Zalman Morozov. Machshava Zoris, was hat Zoris für deine Machshavas? Yeah. Azai Yashpil Nafshi Lashem. He should humble himself. He's in the middle of davening, he can't speak. He can't be mafsik, so everything that he does has to be in his mind. The machshavte, lerachem olav berachamov hamerubim. The Eibishter should have rachmanis on him, and it's kerachem of albonim hanimshachim imoiche, meaning there's a personal connection.
That
The Eibishter should help me.
Makes the kavanah stronger.
V'kocha yerachem Hashem al nafshe. Hashem will have rachmanis on him. Hanimshachas miti yizbarach. I'm not asking for Hashem to help me in my inyonim. This is Hashem's. My mayach is from Him. This is mine. This is where we're connected. We're one. It's like we're asking Hashem to have rachmanis on Himself. Hashem will do it for His sake. He should do it. He should do it for His sake. It's not to help us. Because we're mamish part of Him. So, in other words, just like...
And this only goes for machshav zavos in tefillah?
Yeah.
Or for anything you want?
B'shaso aveda. Our says b'shaso aveda b'teira. Remember...
To do it for you.
Remember...
New car.
Everything is for Hashem.
No, remember that this point that we said at the beginning, that in the previous perek, the Alter Rebbe described it as hirhurim royim and taivus rois. Only here he calls it machshava zaras, because you're davening, lagabe davening, it's all a machshava zara.
Even good things that are good.
So he brings this inyan of rachmanis. We're asking Hashem to have rachmanis on us to help free us, that we should be able to daven. So that's the perek. Maybe we start a little bit chavtes. Let's start a little bit chavtes, because it's a long perek, and right, we should have. So let's see. Now, so the Alter Rebbe really did. So Chavav, Chav Zayin, Chav Ches. We finished one inyan. A person should not allow himself to be depressed from machshav zaris or hirhurim, or even averis that they did in the past, or either right or. Banachayim mezoynes, struggles that they have in Gashmias, all these things should not upset a person. Now the Alter Rebbe discusses another inyan. Prakim, Chavtes, and Lamed really are, the Alter Rebbe speaks about the hisbainunus, the challenges that people have in Perek Chavtes, from Sholosh Klippus Hatmeyas, their engagement with the world, in the world of Aveira, and in Perek Lamed, in Klippas Noiga, over, the challenges that people could have with Klippas Noiga. So let's take a look. There's another inyan. It happens, and sometimes it's quite frequent. You see Beinanim, that Yeshlam Timtum Halev, their heart becomes numb.
It's so strange to me. How would a baby have
I would say that most of the Yechidus that the Rabbeim had, most of the Yechidus Ruchnius, was about Timtum Halev. In other words, you had people who came and they asked for Gashmias. Okay, whatever. The Rebbe was very upset by it, a lot of stories. The Frierdiker Rebbe. But people who came to have a real Yechidus, they said when Reb Nissen came to New York, so someone said to the Rebbe, now the Rebbe is going to have real Yechidus. Someone's going to come in, but the Red Ruchni is the Kenyan, So, whatever the Rebbe's comment was, Akoponim, they have Timtum Alev, there's numbness in the heart, Shanasa Ke'evin. Try as they may, they're not responsive. The heart somehow it's just it's a aver that we don't have the recipe. B'shum eifen la'aveda shebalev zut tefillah.
Maybe it's relative to what they consider.
Okay. In other words, in other words, of course. In other words, it should be that you think that you're mizbainen and you feel. And here, what do they find? They think, and they don't feel. It remains in the world of machshava.
compared to what where the Isbainis is, compared to where the Isbainis is, they feel that there's a gap. I don't think it's a completely.
The gamlif omim, also sometimes what happens, lo yuchal lehilochem im hayetzer. Sometimes there's a certain heaviness that he's not able to, he doesn't win, he crashes. Lekadesh atzme b'mutale. Sometimes when it comes to dvarim amutarim, he starts to just give in. Mitnei kvedus shabalibay. His heart is sluggish, it's heavy. V'zeis hi eitza yeutza b'zeir HaKadosh. What does it say? The Zohar, he brings from the Zohar, the Omar Rav Mesifta beGan Eden, the Reish Yeshiva. And Gan Eden said like this: a wood, a piece of wood, or however you want to. The loy salig beina hoira. It's not catching fire. It's a big log. You go to a campsite and you don't have lighter fluid. So how are you gonna?
The twigs catch fire.
The loy salig beina hoira mevachenle. You have to break it. You have to splinter it into smaller pieces. The point is, you can't say bring twigs. You have to use what you have. You're goof, you're neshama. You're a piece of wood. It's a muscle, right? So gufa, the leisalig bein the heira the nishmasa mevachen leichulu. You can't make the fire bigger. It's your neshama. Your neshama, your goof.
But this breaking
The
is
fire
bittul,
doesn't
right?
have to be big.
Yeah. So it's a bittul. Perech Chavtes is going to be bittul from Shalosh Klippos Atmeis and Pirush Neheira the Nishmasa. What is the meaning? What are we talking about? She'eir haneshama v'haseichel. What's the eir haneshama? The Eibishter appears to a person through our seichel. Eine meir kol kach is not strong enough. It's not bright enough. Limshel al chumriyas shebeguf. V'af, although shemevin mizbainin b'sichle b'gdulas Hashem, he learns chassidus, but eine nitfas. He doesn't grasp it. It's not nidbak b'meiche kol kach. He doesn't grasp it. He doesn't understand it well enough. Sheyuchal limshel al chumriyas halev.
Doesn't feel it well enough. I'm sure it's relative.
I'm sorry to say that la'achreina, there's a lot of exposure to different messages and memes, and for myself, to hear things that from other religions, so we're holding the middle of a shir Tanya, but imagine someone should say, what does it mean in Tanya when we say, the Alter Rebbe brings a few times, like it says in the pasuk Elokei Avram, in Perek Mem Zayin he says, what's it like? Lefisha hayu batel v'nichlal. What does it mean Elokei Avram? It's Elokei Yisrael. The Eibishter is everybody's Eibishter. But Avram Avinu has the right to say Hashem is my Eibishter. Why? Because he listens to everything. When you say what is the force that drives your life? So it's Elokei Avram. So right, someone who he has different influences, different factors. What do you say? Oh, the Eibishter. What about the Eibishter? That's not the driving force. So if a person would be that the mind, what they understand of godless Hashem would be nitfas v'nidbak b'meiche. If a person would truly understand, so he would rule. So that it's like when the Frierdiker Rebbe said, "Oh, I don't smoke." What do you mean? You just smoke? No, you told me it's unhealthy, so I'm done. Right? He says, it's not able. The heart is fagrept. Machmas chumriyuson v'gasuson. The Rebbe points out that chumriyuson v'gasuson is lashon rabim, and it's the chumriyus of both the moyach and the lev. It's not just the heart. There's also something with the mind. And for me, this also, it really, like the Rebbe Rasham in the Kuntre Samach Tasamach of the Frierdiker Rebbe's wedding, So it's very beautiful, and I don't. It's not something that's commonly spoke. Like you learn Ma'amorim of the Rebbe, and like I don't remember this Indian being discussed. That the Rebbe Rashab speaks about how you meet people who their brain is very developed. They have a great chush in a certain area. Right? They have like a specialty. But they don't come across smart in other, right? You meet people, it doesn't matter what it is, it's in carpentry, in music, a person has an area, it's like, I don't want to say, once a person came to take a look at a space, at a basement for a construction project. And the guy didn't come with a pencil. He didn't come with a paper. He didn't come with he's walking and the lady's saying, over here we're going to make a wall, over there a closet like this, and over there a bathroom, and over there. And by him, it's all in his head. Like you have to be a genius. How you're doing one house. How in the world? How could a person? Because it's agon, er kann ganz Shas mistama. No, Shas nicht. But in this Indian, right, people have chushim. Right? He's developed. Over here he's saying that it doesn't matter what you understand in Yoni Elam Hazi, you could be very smart.
Some chess players, they can't really do too much else, but you'll never beat them.
It's incredible, right? In their mind, they remember every move.
Yeah.
And it's without effort even.
Yeah.
It's just that happens to be
like
they.
Like as if it's when they exert, then
So the chumriyusan v'gasusan, there's a fagrebkeit in the moyach, that the moyach is somehow closed to ruchnius, to godliness. V'asibahi, gasas ha-klippe. The klippe is ungeblasen. Shemagbia atzmal kedushas nefesh v'alikis, umasteres umachshika eira. It blocks the light. What is klippe? Klippe is a shell. It's a husk. It covers up the light. In other words, here you have quality, right? You have quality.
Much light in the neshama, they live a whole lifetime
in darkness.
They don't know.
There's a lazay sarich levatsha ulashpila la'ofer. You have to smash it. You have to humble it. Listen, humble pie is not comfortable. It's not comfortable to be humbled. And everyone knows what it's like the ego when it gets a patch. When someone says something insulting, we remember it for a lifetime. Someone says something not nice.
It's funny how sensitive humans are. I don't know, some care. Yeah. Some humans more than others, but everyone's
the hainu, the kvoya itim, it has to be at specific times. The hashpelatzma. Pashut, lias nivza be'enov nimos, kakosov. To be lowly. Yeah.
Depends. Very
nishbar
these days, and to know exactly which part you're saying that to. Because today, when people say nivza be'enov, they're like, it's the whole package. It's their whole life.
It becomes atzvus.
Yeah. So.
V'leiv nishbar, ruach nishbara. To be humble of spirit. And that humility, that brokenness, he hasitra achra. That's the klippe. Shehi ha'adam atzmei b'bein. When a person is broken, what's crushed is the nefesh habamis is crushed, because that's who we are. Shenefesh achayunis hamechaya guf. He betokfa ketoldasa belibe. That's the nefesh achayunis. Nimtza hi adam atzmei. Ve'al nefesh olikis shebei, regarding the neshama nemar, neshama shenasata bi tehirei. So shenasata bi, you placed it in me, so that itself proves miklal she'adam atzmei einenu aneshama tehirei. From the fact that it says you placed it in me, so obviously, who am I? I'm not the neshama tehirei.
very, yeah.
Ki im b'tzadikim shebehem hu lehefich. It's the opposite. We learned now in Seita, the Gemara. There's a Gemara already a couple of days ago. Whatever, Lamed Ches, Lamed Tes, Mem, I don't remember exactly where it is. The Gemara says Rabavo was very humble. You saw the Gemara. It says Rabavo was very humble. What was the humility? The humility was that he was giving a speech, and he had a meturgamon. And the meturgamon changed things up on him. He says, and he didn't, he let it go. The Gemara brings another, Nachainian. He says, Ravo went with someone else to a city, and they each gave a drasha. The other one gave Agadata. Rabavo gave Agadata. Whoever it was, Rav Kana, he gave Halacha. So everyone came to Rabavo. So that he felt very bad. Rav Kana felt terrible. No one came to him. He says, listen, when you come to a city, one guy's selling diamonds and expensive watches, and the other one is selling tin and junk. So by the tin and junk, everyone goes. Everyone needs buttons, needles, chveis, whatever. But you have, just to be a humble person, the Gemara zogt. Yeah. So by tzaddikim, it's lahipich. Shenshama tehira shi nefesh elikis hu ha'adam. V'nikra gufam b'sar adam. It's like a secondary thing. K'maimer Hillel HaZokan le'talmidav k'shaya le'echol. We're going to finish here. Haya Omer, he would say, he's being goymel chesed.
Oh, yeah.
He's going goymel chesed imo'aluva v'aniyah, with the ashamed, impoverished. Who gufay? Ki k'may zor nechshav etzlai. It was like a stranger to him. V'lachein Omar shu goymel chesed. It's not gemilas chasadim when you help yourself. But because by him it was a foreign thing, he is being goymel mashama achile. Ki hu atzmai einei rak nefesh elikis levad. Ki hi levad amchai gufay b'sari. She'ara she'hoye b'nefesh achiyunas ha'alvash of dom zor nishapach l'toiv. V'nichwa b'gdushas nefesh elikis mamash b'tzadikim. But by Beidinim, it's a different story. We're going to finish here.
I think the itself is not